coasters are very popular amusement park attractions. Many thrill seekers enjoy them, and they're a staple at amusement parks and carnivals everywhere. What many people don't realize, though, are the interesting scientific principles that are behind roller coasters. They use two kinds of energy, potential energy and kinetic energy. Potential energy is the energy that they use when they're at the top of the hill or about to plummet down. Potential energy is the kind of energy that's being stored or not quite used yet. Kinetic energy is energy in use, and the roller coaster uses it when it goes down the slope. Since roller coasters are so interesting, I decided to do my projects on a marble roller coaster to test different variables on the roller coaster. My problems were using a foam pipe insulation marble track consisting of a loop with a 40 centimeter diameter resting on a slope, well, slopes to 200 centimeters long and with varying heights of 21.59 centimeters and 48.42 centimeters high, 101.60 centimeters high and 39.7 centimeters high cause a marble to complete the loop with 50%, 70%, or 100% accuracy. At what distance from the beginning endpoint should the marble be placed for it to run through the loop with 50%, 70%, or 100% accuracy? My hypothesis is that that 4 block highs will make the marble run through the loop with 100% accuracy, the 3 blocks high with 70% accuracy, and the 2 blocks high with 50% accuracy. For my second experiment, my hypothesis was that the 200 centimeter height would make it go with 100% accuracy, the 175 centimeter height with 75% accuracy, and so on. Okay. My procedure was, to begin the experiment, I purchased foam pipe insulation and gathered several wood blocks, 3 cinder blocks, duct tape, scissors, cardboard tubes, and materials to support the loop. I cut the foam pipe insulation into 2 long semi-cylinders that I would use to make the track. I secured one end to the floor with duct tape, and the other end I secured to several objects to help that stay in a loop shape. I secured the long free end to a stack of wood blocks that I had secured together with duct tape so they wouldn't move when we moved them. I set the marble at the top of the slope and watched it roll down the hill. If it completed the loop, then that would be marked as a successful trial, and if it did not complete the loop, then it would be marked as an unsuccessful trial. There are 10 repetitions for each part of the experiment. After we finished it with 1 block, we added more blocks under it, like you can see in this picture. We tested the 2 block heights and marked the trials with 10 repetitions, and with 3 blocks and 4 blocks. For my second experiment, we used the same marble track with 4 blocks. We tested it with 200 centimeters, which is right at the beginning endpoint, then 25 centimeters from the beginning endpoint, or 175 centimeters from the ground, then 150 centimeters, then 125 centimeters, and 100 centimeters. And of course, we tested it with 10 trials, and if it ran through the loop, that was a successful trial, and if it did not run through the loop, it was an unsuccessful trial. My variables were, for the first experiment, the constants were the size of the marble, the diameter of the loop, and the length of the track. The variable was the height and the angle of the track. For the second experiment, my constants were the loop's diameter, the marble's size, and the angle of the track. My variation was the marble's starting height. We ran into several problems while we did this experiment. For example, the support structure was blocking the marble, and we had to adjust it several times to make sure that it wouldn't hit the marble as it ran down. Also, with 4 blocks on their side like this, it wasn't high enough to make the second experiment accurate. So I had to make them stand up so they'd be taller. We also had to tape 2 pieces of foam pipe insulation together because I had cut it to 100 centimeters and we needed 200 centimeters. My results were that the successful trials were more consistent than I had thought. I thought the percent of successful trials would be more predictable, but so 21.59 centimeter heights, the 58.42 centimeter, and 101.6 centimeter height had 0% accurate trials, or correct trials. 139.7%, 139.7 centimeters had 100% accuracy though, which is different from my hypothesis because I was correct about the 139.7 height. But I would get 100%. But I thought that the second and third ones would have 70% and 50% respectively. For the second experiment, again, my hypothesis is partly true because the 200 centimeter height had 100% accuracy, but the 175 centimeter height also had 100% accuracy, and 150 centimeter height had 80% accuracy, and 125 centimeters and 100 centimeters had 0% accuracy. My hypothesis for the second one stated that 200% would make it with 100% accuracy, but it wasn't the minimum required like I had thought it would be. The minimum required was actually 175%, which had 100% accuracy. There are several practical applications for this experiment. Engineers can use this information to build roller coasters, because if in a roller coaster, if the first hill isn't high enough, then the car might get stuck halfway through the ride, and then the ride it ends too quickly. Scientists have to use such information when they're planning out the design of the roller coaster. Some variations on this experiment would be to make a U-shaped track and roll the marble along one end and then measure how high the marble rolls. Another variation would be to find out exactly what height would be 70% or 50%. Any questions? John?
What do you think would happen if instead of varying the height of the blocks and the length of the tube, if instead you kept both of those constant but kept moving them back and forth in relation to the loop? What do you think would happen?
Well, I don't.
Do you think it would, as it went further and got tighter, do you think it would decrease the amount of times it went through, or do you think it would increase it?
I think it would increase it because the thing would get higher, and that would give it more kinetic energy.
Did you do anything with trying different sizes of loops?
Oh, I wish I would have, but we didn't have enough time to do it in this experiment. It was 40 centimeters in diameter.
What do you think would happen if you did use different sizes of loops?
Then the number of successful trials would probably be much smaller because it would need more kinetic energy to be able to make it through the loop.
So for this loop, when you look at the full length of tube, it looks like on your first experiment, and starting height of 139.7 was many times way higher than the loop. So on a real roller coaster, that implications are that first loop has got to be pretty high to have enough energy to roll through that and to keep going to something else.
Mm-hmm. In real life, lots of roller coasters have extra conveyor belts on them to give it an extra burst of speed.
Was it a surprise to you that you had to make it as tall as you did to have successful trials?
Yes, originally we were just going to do the ones on the side as I mentioned before, but even then, the second experiment, 200 centimeter one didn't have 100% accuracy to start with.
Because it had a lower starting height.
Yes.